Hey everyone, so I'm so excited about making today's video because it's about a show which I was waiting for quite a while, which of course you can tell by the title is Jedward Let Loose. Now I will be honest, this is very much a show that people will either love or they will hate. It's not one that people can just sit down and watch if there's nothing else on. You do have to be a fan of Jedward to watch it, otherwise, you're probably not going to find it interesting. I mean, one or two people who don't even like Jedward might find it interesting, but I think to be able to engage with it and to be able to sort of relate to some of the things that they're saying to you, you've got to be at least a little bit of a fan of Jedward. I am not the world's biggest Jedward fan, I'm not a fangirl. I've never seen them perform. I haven't bought their album yet. I'm not their biggest fan, I'll admit that. But I do like them, I love their energy, and I think they're fantastic. So when I first heard they were getting their own show, I was like, yes, fantastic. Now originally, there was rumours going around that they were going to be sort of doing their own sort of version of SMTV, or even I think one rumour said they were bringing SMTV back, and sort of becoming the next Ant and Dec. I'll be honest, I'm pleased that hasn't happened yet because I don't think it'd work. I don't think they'd be good presenters. I think they've got too much energy, and I think, well, that's good. Well, you need a lot of energy to be a kids TV presenter. I think they've got perhaps too much energy. I don't really know how to explain that. But anyway, so when I found out they were doing this show, I was like, good, this will be a little bit better. Although I've got to say, the show itself is very random. It's an ITV2 show, and generally speaking, ITV2 shows are really good. It was on last night, which was Tuesday, and it was on from 9 until 10. And I've got to say, first impressions, I want to know what's more. I want to know what else there is. I want to know what else they've got, and I want to carry on watching it, which is always sort of, I suppose, a really good thing. What it does is it basically follows John and Edward round. Oh, for those of you who don't know, if you're just watching this, if you're subscribed and you don't know who Jedward are, they were on the X Factor last year. They didn't win, but they got really far. And they're very much a love-hate twin act from Dublin. And this is just basically them with the cameras following them around. The episode itself was an hour long, and we got to see their HMV, I think it was HMV, their CD signing somewhere, and that was mental. The entire shop, you could see, was just filled with people. God forbid if I was there, I would have got crushed. But you can see they've got a lot of support. They clearly have a lot of fans. And what else did we get to see? We got to see their house. We got to go in the parents' house and see their dogs and things in their bedroom and things. So that was quite interesting. Honestly, if they didn't show that, I wouldn't have minded. But I know for the true fangirls and things, that would mean quite a lot. They also, apparently they're getting their own sportswear label or their own trainers or something, and we got to see them design their own. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't mind a pair of these trainers. They sound quite snazzy. I don't think snazzy is the right word to use, but they do. They looked quite nice in the sort of mock version. And then they got to pick a few free things from the store that was doing it, which I don't know which one it was. And I would find it really hard to do that. Like if somebody said to me, here, go and pick a couple of free items from the shop, I'd be like, I couldn't do it. I just wouldn't be able to take things for free. But John and Edward went a little bit crazy, bless them for that. And then we also got to see a T4 performance, which in Great Yarmouth. Was it Great Yarmouth? No, it wasn't. Ignore me. But we got to see a performance, and Edward hurt his leg. I won't tell you any more about that. In fairness, if you're a massive fan of them, you probably already know this already. Personally, I didn't know this. But he'd hurt his leg, and then it affects other things in the rest of the show as well, which is quite interesting. So, like I said, you've got the cameras following around. There's also a couple of talks with Louis Walsh and things, and there's clips from the X Factor. So that means there's clips of Cheryl and clips of Simon and things, which is always lovely. But the main thing about it is it's following them leaving home. Now this really confused me because I don't know why they're leaving home. They're leaving home for 10 days. It's like a 10-day challenge or something. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know what's the point in it. I don't know if it's just for the show. This information was not given clearly. I'm still trying to find out. So if anybody knows this, please let me know. But they're leaving home for 10 days. And they've moved into this really swanky, flat like a really posh flat, you know, really well decorated, absolutely gorgeous. I think they said it's in a hotel, but I mean you wouldn't think it's a hotel. It's like it's really massive and everything's all posh and everything, and they have their own bedrooms for the first time, and they have to live in this house by themselves. You know, they have to get food shopping, they have to do the cleaning, they have to work out how to work things in the house. So basically it's like Young, Dumb and Living Off Mum, which most of you will know I love, but the posh version. And I don't really understand quite why this is happening. Maybe it is just for the show, and it is quite entertaining. It was quite hectic in the first episode, so I'm sort of looking forward to what's to come within the next few episodes. But like I said, it's just kind of a bit random with them leaving home and things. When I first heard it was about them leaving home, I thought it was literally that. I thought they decided to go and get their own place, and I thought it was about that. But this is just people having picked them up and put them in a flat for 10 days. So it's kind of weird. But if you like Young, Dumb and Living Off Mum, it's definitely worth watching, because I was sitting watching it and I was like, oh, they had to do that on Young and Dumb. They had to do that on Young Dumb. They had to do that on Young Dumb. So it's very much very similar, but without the whole celebrity aspect of it. And it is just such a lovely program. I didn't think I was going to love it so much, but it was really, really good. Like I said, it's on next week, but I don't know how many episodes there are. I don't know if it's on for 10 weeks with a different day in the house or what. That information again is not really given clearly, which is a bit of a shame, because to be honest with you, I hope it's not on for like 10 weeks, because I will get a little bit bored of it, I imagine. But it's definitely worth checking out. Oh, it's narrated by Reggie Yates, by the way. But it's definitely worth checking out if you are a fan of Jedward, of course. I imagine you might have already seen it if you're a fan. Check on YouTube if you're overseas and you can't get access to ITV Player. Check on YouTube, it might be there. I imagine somebody's going to put up the clips. But even if you're not a fan of Jedward, it's still worth watching. You know, you might like it. But like I said, you really do have to be a sort of fan, or at least like them a little bit. Otherwise it's not really going to be that interesting. Unless you hate them and want to see them do really badly. Which they might not do bad, you know, they might do really well in the house and get on brilliantly. But I suppose you either have to loathe them and want to see them do that, or really, really like them, or at least like them a little bit. But either way, check it out and let me know your thoughts. ITV2 next week, same time. Oh, and there's also like a sort of Jedward on hair, Jedward on John, Jedward on Edward. And what they do is they sort of just, like, John will talk about Edward, Edward will talk about John, and then they'll both talk about their hair. And what they did was they showed the differences between the twins, because I'll be honest, I can't always tell the difference between them. But, whose is it? I think it's Edward's tooth crosses over, whereas John's teeth are straight. And funny story, or, well, I say funny, you might not think it's funny, but a friend and I were walking through town and we saw Masquerade. If you watch Dragon's Den, you'll know that Masquerade are like a mask company that do celebrity masks. And there was a John and an Edward, and their tooth, the picture they used had the tooth slanted across, and they just reversed the image. So it wasn't actually John and Edward, you were getting Edward and then a reversed Edward, so it looked like they were two different people. I thought that was a bit weird. So you're not actually getting a John and John mask, a John and Edward mask, you're getting an Edward and an Edward reversed mask. But never mind. So it's really lovely and things. You get to see some of their childhood pictures, you get to learn about them as kids, you get to see their older brother. I didn't know they had an older brother. So it is really quite interesting, and you do learn a bit, plus you get to see Cheryl and Simon and things in clips, which is always great. But like I said, definitely worth watching. Go and check it out and let me know your thoughts and things. If you have any requests for any videos, let me know. A lot of people have requested quite a few different things for my nostalgia series, so I will get on with that soon. And also Doctor Who videos. I haven't done a Doctor Who video in ages, so my apologies for people who are kind of just subscribed for those. I'll try and do one of those this week for you. But until next time, I will see you later. Bye guys!